Spielberg is back with a brand new movie called Disclosure Day, asking the big old questions whether or not aliens exist. I'm answering the big question whether or not this film is worth your time. Let's talk about it. Hey, welcome to the video, a brand new movie review. Today I'm talking all about the brand new movie from Steven Spielberg called Disclosure Day. It's brand new in cinemas across the UK right now. I have seen it. Before we start talking about it, as always, a friendly reminder, these are just my thoughts. Don't let this dictate whether or not you go and see it. You might see it if we're totally differently to me. That is okay. Movies aren't made to cater for everyone. Without any further ado, let's start talking about this movie. And at long last, I can finally start talking about this movie because I had to record this intro about 8 times because I was going, Steven Spielberg. I just couldn't say his name. I don't know why. Steven Spielberg got there in the end. Anyway, Disclosure Day. It's brand new. It is a very long. First off, it's like 2.5 hours roughly-ish. And I always say in these films I don't like long films. However, this one isn't unnecessarily long. Like, I don't necessarily look at this film and go, I could chop these sections of the film to cut it down. Like, I think this is a fine film. It's not unnecessarily long, but you know, it is still very long nonetheless, and I do think every bit of the film contributes to the wider story that makes the film what it is. The biggest thing, I enjoyed this. I did really enjoy it. I was hooked from start to finish. Like, I was really engaged and I was trying to figure this out. It's not one of those films where you have to think too hard, but it is one that you do need to kind of sit and actually think through. If you don't kind of piece all the puzzle pieces together, then, you know, it does end up making no sense. Having said that though, there are a lot of things that me and my friend left the cinema going, okay, I understood the story, like I understood how we got from start to finish, and you know, it all made sense in terms of a plot. In terms of asking why sort of motive, I didn't really get it. Like, there were a lot of things where I was like, I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand why shaking this thing or like gripping it made you invisible. Why could they only see that? Like, I didn't understand that. There were a lot of things that kind of, I don't want to say too many like direct things that could potentially spoil the film, but there are a lot of sort of questionable things, I would say, that I was like, if you ask the question why, like, why are we doing that, then it doesn't make sense. But if you do just kind of accept it surface level, like accept that is the case, like there's no point asking why because that is the case, then the film makes sense and you do really enjoy it. But yeah, there were quite a few occasions throughout the film that I was like, okay, I don't understand why we're doing that and why that is the case, but I'm just going to accept that that's the case, move on so I can continue watching the story. You know, there were quite a few things that I was like, all I'm going to say is the guy started controlling people, like, he controlled people through technology. He was sat in a chair like this, controlling people. If you've seen the film, that would make sense. My question to that is, though, if you could control that person, why couldn't you control the actual person that do you know what I mean? The same thing where, why were these 2 leads chosen to be the 2 leads? What does the bird have to do with anything? Like, all of these sort of questions that I didn't really understand the answer to made me question the plot. But like I said to you, if you just accept that and don't actually look into it too much, then, you know, it does make sense. Maybe it's just I missed loads of these key plot points and the reasons and meanings behind these like questions that I have. Maybe I missed it, but I don't know. I just thought it was a bit strange. And both me and my friend had the same questions. So I don't know, maybe we're just both a bit stupid and kind of missed very obvious answers. But yeah, that's the kind of only flaw I had with this film. I thought the acting was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was just one of those kind of captivating films. I was really engaged in what was going to happen. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. It was one of those ones where you're trying to predict what's about to happen, trying to preempt what's about to happen. But ultimately, you just can't, because genuinely, it's one of those films of like, I don't know what's going to happen next. In terms of a rewatchability level, I don't really think in terms of a second one I'll gain as much from it, because the joy of this film came from the what's going to happen, like what's going to happen next. And knowing what's going to happen next, I think, would take away the enjoyability of watching this film again. Whereas something like, what's a recent film that I've watched? Something like Tuna, I really enjoyed and I want to rewatch it again. And despite I know what's going to happen next, I just think it's a really like great film to rewatch. because it doesn't, knowing what happens doesn't necessarily take away from watching the film. Does that make sense? Whereas this will happen with Disclosure Day, but I really enjoyed it. You know, I think this is definitely one, if you like IMAX, to watch in IMAX. Definitely one for 4DX as well, if you like watching films in 4DX. I love watching films in 4DX. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this, and I definitely think it's one to catch in the cinema. My screening was really busy. There are so many screenings like this. I think this is going to be really good Spielberg, and, you know, I really enjoy the stuff that he does. You know, I rewatched quite a few, well, I say rewatched, I watched for the first time quite a few of his films. There are a bunch that I wanted to watch, but I didn't get a chance to see in the cinema during Cineworld's Spielberg season that they released preempting Disclosure Day's release. And, you know, I watched Catch Me If You Can, I watched Jurassic Park, and I watched these films for the first time. I was like, I really enjoy the way you're doing, you know, doing your films, and obviously seeing the way that kind of it changed in terms of the way that the production and movies are made from something like Jurassic Park, where it was very like, you watch it as a today's audience and you go, oh gosh, like CGI and stuff in that film is dreadful, whereas you watch CGI in this film and it's like, it is really, really gorgeous. But I think Spielberg is a great director, great writer, and he's produced some really great stuff, and I think Disclosure Day just adds perfectly to his kind of credits of films and productions and stuff. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. That's all I can say on Disclosure Day. It's in cinemas across the UK right now. As always, before I wrap up this movie review, what do I rate out of 10? Will it join my DVD collection? I'm giving this a very solid 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Will it join my DVD collection? Possibly. Like, I can see myself having this in my collection. It's not going to be a day one purchase, and it probably won't be one that I buy until I want to rewatch it again. I'm not saying I won't rewatch it. I'm just saying that the rewatchability, I probably won't rewatch it and enjoy it as much as I did the first time, if that makes sense. So yeah, possibly can see it in my collection at some point when it gets DVD release later on in the year. So like I say, everything I've got to say on Disclosure Day in this video right here. Thank you very much for watching. As always, in the description below is the movie plot, a link to the movie trailer, as well as a link to my movie review playlist. It features every single movie review that I've ever done. And my next cinema trip is the big one, my most anticipated movie of the year. I've been waiting since 2022. My next cinema trip is Toy Story 5. Behind me is a ginormous Toy Story poster. Do I dare show you? Yeah, there you go. So let's just say I'm excited for Toy Story. That's my next video. I shall see you in another movie review, and hopefully my Toy Story 5 movie review very soon.